on, everybody? It's BC here. Today we are going to do a tutorial on design. So I think I'm going to start another series that I'm just going to try to put up one a week, every couple weeks at least, on just doing a t-shirt design using Photoshop. That's my preferred program. So if you don't have Photoshop, you still can kind of follow along if you can download the program GIMP. It's free to download. It's like Photoshop, but it's an open source program that you can download. I still prefer Photoshop just because I just worked in it for years and years and years, so I'm just used to it. But I will later on try to make some videos using GIMP and maybe Affinity Designer and Procreate for sure. I do use Procreate on my iPad because I use my iPad quite a bit to do illustrations. So anyway, this first one, we're just going to do some, just a real basic design. It's Valentine's, guys, so I just wanted to make something, you know, that's easy for people to kind of hopefully follow along. And while you're kind of making it, hopefully making you realize, oh, I can maybe do this or do that. Some kind of ideas that might come to you during this process. So I'm trying to approach these lessons more as a hands-on, showing you what the tools do and why you're using them. So that way you don't have to worry about everything. You're just worrying about the things that I'm kind of creating for you. Now, I do hop into Illustrator for a second in this video coming up to just basically copy and paste from Illustrator. I downloaded some clip art from a place called, that was Vector Portal. They have a bunch of free clip art that you can download that's Creative Commons. So Creative Commons, if you don't know what that is, guys, Creative Commons is a licensing that people will put up artwork or music or film or video or whatever and put it on a Creative Commons license, meaning that you're able to use it, just give them attribution. In other words, make sure that you let people know that that's where it's from. So anyway. So here is some clip art that I had gotten, and I just basically opened it up in Illustrator. It's an EPS file, and in Illustrator, it'll open it up so I can actually grab the layers, and I'm just grabbing the layers and I'm copying and pasting it into Photoshop. So when you get to that part, that's what I'm doing. It's not anything difficult by any means. So if you have Illustrator, it's very easy. Just open up your EPS file that you download, and you'll be able to click into it and copy and paste the parts that you want to put into your design. So anyway, just a heads up. If you could, guys, hit the like and subscribe if all this content is making sense to you and it's helping you out. And also, join up at Heat Press Creators. We have a Facebook group. It's free to join. We're almost at 250 members, and when we do, we're going to do a giveaway for a free coffee mug that says, I am a Heat Press Creator. So please go ahead and join up, you know, and hopefully we'll see you over there as well. But anyway, let's hop into the tutorial. Again, we're using Photoshop, also a little bit of Illustrator. But anyway, let's hop into it, and I'll see you then. All right, guys, so here we are in Photoshop, and this is the design we're going to end up with in the very end. We're going to go from beginning to end on how I built this out of different pieces, different vector parts and fonts. And a little bit of Photoshop trickery. So stay tuned, stay with us. We're going to go over it right now. So let's go and start off with, you go up here to File, and you're going to create a new file, and you click New right here on top. It's going to bring up your selection to make something. What you're going to do is over here on the right-hand side, go ahead down to inches. Make sure that this says inches. The width, I'm going to be actually working on a legal sized design because I'm using a Epson 2720 printer, which prints 8.5 by 14 sheets. So I'm going to make the design actually 8 inches by 13 inches high. Oops, 13 inches high. And the reason is that this printer doesn't print edge to edge, so there's going to be a little bit of a gap all the way around, and so I'm just compensating that in the design so I don't have to worry about anything getting cut off. The next thing you want to make sure to change is the resolution. The resolution should be set at 300 DPI, and it's going to say pixels per inch. That's fine. This is very important, guys. The color mode, make sure this is set to CMYK. The reason you want it to be CMYK
is that your printer prints in CMYK. So you want this to match up as close as possible. RGB is a screen, like a monitor color space. It's not meant for printing. CMYK is meant for printing. So you want to make sure that that's set. 8-bit is totally fine. You can leave that. Leave all the rest of this is fine. And before we say create, what we're actually going to do is save a preset. So up here where it says preset details, if you click this button right here, it brings down an ability to name it. So we're going to name this legal sublimation. And so I know that that's what this is for, and I can use this again. So I'm going to hit Save Preset, and what it does is that it saves it here under the Save tab in this whole window. There's a Save button you can click, and there is your preset. So now every time you open up Photoshop, all you have to do is click that now and hit Create, and it's going to always create the right size document at the right resolution in the right color space. Okay, let me go over that again. So the reason I'm doing this way is that I'm making sure that whatever I'm making is already set perfectly. Like the canvas of my artwork is set to be 8 inches by 13 inches CMYK at 300 DPI every time. So that means anything I design in this should be printing correctly right off the bat. It's an old pre-press trick. I used to be a pre-press manager, and you're always having to deal with a lot of problems with a lot of different files. And this was our easiest solution to most of it, which was to create a fresh, clean file. And then even if you're using artwork from somewhere else, when you're dropping it in, you're able to see the true resolution of it, first of all, right off the bat visually. And then also, it allows you to just make sure everything's correct going to the printer. So if you have issues when printing from here, you know that something went weird. So anyway, so here we go. We got our canvas open here right now. The first thing we want to do is use a quote. So Joan Collins, if you remember, let's go back to the design. So Joan Collins, I looked up quotes for Valentine's, love quotes. And Joan Collins had said, "Love is a fire." There's more to the quote, but I just thought, "Love is a fire." That is a good way to start. And so first, let's start off with the font. Again, this is "Love is a fire" is the quote. Over here on the left-hand side is your main toolbar. You have everything from these are like pointer tools, like to select. This is a selection tool to like cut out something. All of these we'll go over through the tutorials. There's too much to go over in one tutorial, guys. So I'm just going to do stuff that you need to do to make a shirt. And that way you don't have to go through all the endless hours of trying to learn Photoshop, every little in and out of it, just to make something that you don't need to know all that information. So anyway, first of all, we need to know how to put text on the shirt. So if you go down here to the T, this is your text tool in Photoshop. Go ahead and click that. And we're going to just go ahead and click once on here. Right now, the font that I'm using is called, is it Biora? It's Blora? I think it's Blora. Blora, B-L-O-R-A. I got it from 1001 Fonts, I believe. There's a lot of free fonts online, guys. If you want to use this particular one, that is the name of it. The first thing I'm going to do is just write the word love with a capital L and lowercase for the rest of them. Right now, it's too small. You're like, that's way too small. How do you make it bigger? Okay, there's two ways to do that. We can do that over here in the character palette. Now, this is accessed by your second toolbar. On this toolbar, you have a few different items. This one with the A is the one that gives you your choices for fonts, font size. Right here, if you wanted to change the font size, let's pull this drop-down menu. Let's go to 72. It made it a little bit bigger, but I want a little bit more control. I don't want to have to keep on going over here. So I'm going to show you a trick. If you hit Control and T, if you're on a Windows, or Apple T if you're on a Mac, it will, with that layer selected, oh, what happened? Okay, there you go. So if you hit Control T or Apple T with that layer selected, it'll create this kind of like frame around it with these like handles, grab the corner handle and just drag it up. Photoshop in the later versions allows you to scale. That's what we just did, scale the object. Just by doing that. Normally you'd have to hit shift. If you're on a Mac or an older version of Photoshop, you might need to hold shift so that it stays proportional. But in the later versions, you can see it just stays proportional as I move it up. It doesn't stretch it. You don't want to stretch anything, guys. If you're stretching, what I mean by stretching is like if I started to do something like this, you don't want that at all. Okay. You always want to grab the handles and be doing it proportionally. So let's just start off with that size. We can adjust this later on. Double click it and that sets the size now. So now over here on your layers palette on the bottom right, what we were just looking at, you'll see a new layer that has that text layer that you just made. Now I want to change something. Right now the L seems way too far from the rest of this word. So what you want to do is go back over here to this toolbar on the left hand side, click the T again, and then if you just click into it, you're able to edit now into this this text that you wrote. What I want to do is I'm going to mess with the gap between these two. So what we're going to do is change it over here on the character palette. We're going to select this first letter. And it's going to be the third one down, and it says VA. Okay, now this you're going to hit. Let's just try minus 100. I think yep, that looks good. Actually, right there. And then go back over here to the select the move tool, and go ahead and click that. And now you see that the letters have now moved in closer for that particular area. That looks much better to me. Okay, so let's write the other parts of this quote. The next part is. It goes, love is a fire. So I'm going to put is on the same line. And there you go. So now I have this one. And I'm going to kind of move it around. So if you have this move tool selected on the very top, and if you make sure that this auto select is also clicked here on the top left, right under image, there's a button that says auto select. Make sure that that's selected. So that way all you have to do is click on the layer and it automatically selects that layer. Like if I click on love, it automatically selects love now. See? So let's click back on is and we're going to move it kind of and position it where we want it. And we're in the same position. We want to make it a little bit bigger to fit right. So we're going to hit Control T on Windows, Apple T if you're on a Mac. Grab one of these corner handles and we're just going to enlarge it and try to line it up as best we can with the edge of this E. Okay, and so now we're starting to have a shirt that takes shape. Now if you just want to nudge this up or down or to the sides, use your arrows buttons on your keyboard and just kind of place it where you want it so you can get real precise on the placement. So we got love is a now in there, and now we want to put in fire. So one more time, we're going to add up another text layer. As you see, we now have 3 layers. We have love is and then now we have this new one, which is going to be fire, capital F with lowercase fire. So now we're looking kind of consistent with the design. We're going to hit Control T, Apple T if you're on a Mac. Grab the corner handle and we're going to just drag it up until it lines up so that we're looking proportional all the way through here, guys. So let's it's looking pretty good. I think we're gonna bring that in just a little bit. And you see it's kind of still needs a little work, a little nudging. So first of all, I'm going to bring the fire up closer. I'm just clicking and dragging it up, guys. That's why I like the move tool and having the auto select, because it's easy to start to position things. Now let's go back over to the is. We're gonna hit Control T again. Oh, I selected the wrong one. We're going to select Control T, and that's going to let us kind of manipulate this just a little bit. I think that's maybe fitting better there. Let's see. Kind of like it up like that. It's kind of nice. And then I'm going to bring this. Oh, wrong one. Bring that down there. We're going to tap into that. And we're going to bring that one right there. So now I got my my kind of basic design for the lettering that I like. Now, one thing, I might want to make this bigger altogether. So how would I make all of them together scale up, like to make them larger? With the move tool selected, just click and drag this box. And you see how it kind of makes this kind of square antline box? And when you do that, if you look over here on the layers palette on the bottom right, all those layers have now been selected. So now you can do Control T, Apple T if you're on a Mac, and do the same thing. So now you're controlling all of them. Okay, see how easy that is? And so this way you're now controlling the size of it. And what's nice with the fonts in Photoshop, these are vector until you raster size them. And we'll talk about raster sizing later on, but they're vector right now. So it doesn't matter if I go up and down, they're going to stay nice and crisp. So I'm going to probably put it right about there. Now I'm liking that a lot so far. Now I want to add in a few different elements. So I go to a place called Vector Portal. This is where it is up here. It's a pretty cool little site. They have a lot of Creative Commons vectors for download. They're free to download. They're under the Creative Commons license, which allows you to use them in other designs. So if you're looking for places to pick up little elements to make your designs, I suggest check out Vector Portal. There's a few things on there that you can use that are pretty good. But anyway, we're going to select, I opened this up in Illustrator. It's an Illustrator file that I downloaded. When you're in Illustrator and opening it up, again, we're just going to select the area I want to take, which is this. I'm going to hit Control C to copy it, Apple C if you're on a Mac, and then click into Photoshop. And now I'm going to paste it into here by hitting Control V or Apple V if you're on a Mac. It's going to bring up this dialog box. Do you want me to paste this as a smart object, pixels, path, or shape layer? Leave it at smart object. What it allows you to do is resize it, and it's not going to lose any of its sharpness. So now it kind of gets placed this way, into this file this way. We're going to grab the handles, do the same thing. We're going to size it a little bit. Now, I don't think it's working going in this direction necessarily, so I'm going to flip it. After I double click this, it's now set here on its own layer, as you can see, and we can move it around. I want to flip it around, and the way you do that is going up here to Edit, go down to Transform, and go down to Flip Horizontal. And you see how it just flipped it around? And so now I have it kind of placed where I want it. That's looking pretty good. That's starting to kind of match up to where we started from. So what I showed you in the design. So this is another element we're going to pop in here. Now, one thing I'm not liking is that you see how dark I got the font here and how this is kind of almost seems a little washed out. We're going to do a quick little color correction on this particular layer. If you go over here to the layers palette, you're going to have to raster size the layer. And what that means is that you're going to take it out of its vector form, and it's now going to become pixels. You go right here, you right click on the layer, and it's going to bring up this menu, and look for rasterize layer. And when you click that, the layer doesn't look like it did anything, but it did. It actually changed into pixels now, where you're able to now manipulate it with curves and levels and all this other stuff. So to make the contrast. So that's what we're going to do now. So with that layer still selected, go up here to the image menu up top, and we're going to go down to adjustments and then over to curves. Okay, now click curves, and it's going to bring up this box. So you're like, what is all this stuff? We're just going to worry about these buttons down here for the time being, and this kind of bar thing that we're going to adjust. So first we're going to start off here. This first one is for your blacks, and you want to click the area you want to make the computer think is the blackest point in that artwork. And so when I click it, watch the art, it darkened. You saw how it darkened up. And now I'm going to grab this and even darken it just a little bit more. I might even add a little contrast. See how now it popped from where it started. So if you want to see the beginning, that's how it looked before, and now that's how it looks now. So it's going to pop a little bit more on the shirt. So that's what I want, and I'm going to click OK. And so now that part's done. So far we're looking good. I think this is missing something. I want to put fire inside the word love. So how would I do that? Okay, so this is another trick. So what we're going to do is first over here on the layers palette, select these three layers, the love, the Isa, and fire all together. You can do that by clicking one of them, holding down the control button, or I believe also the Apple button on Mac, if I'm not mistaken, but and click each one. They'll all gray out like this. What I'm going to do now is go to this menu. Inside the layer menu, there's these three bars on the top right of it. Click that, and you'll get another menu. And go down here to merge layers, okay? And what that just did is that it took those three layers, turned them into one layer that we're working with now. And you can see I can just turn it on and off. And that's what we want, because we need to do that first to do the next trick, okay? So I'm going to load in a picture that I had gotten from another place I get a lot of great graphic material for designs, which is called Unsplash. It's a place, same thing, it's Creative Commons. People upload their photos and different photos that you can use in your designs, and the licenses are good. Just check the licenses that they put up on the site. So anyway, I'm going to drag it in here. I want to make sure it covers all of Love is a Fire, okay? And I'm going to double click it. And you're like, what are you doing? Okay, I know, I just covered all that up, okay, right? Over here on the layers palette, I want you to click on the layer that you made that you merged together. Let me turn off that layer. This one with Love is a Fire. You want to make sure that's selected. And if you hit Control and kind of go into this middle part of the layer and click it once. Oh, sorry about that. I'm sorry. Hold Control and hit the picture. I'm sorry. It will kind of do that same thing. See how it kind of made a line all around the artwork? That's what we want. Okay, we're going to now turn on that layer again with the fire. See how now you see it kind of selected over that? You want to now select the fire layer. See how I just kind of clicked onto the fire layer and it's now gray? That means that you're on that layer. And then down here, there's a thing, which is a third one in, that's called a layer mask, okay? And when you click this, watch what happens. Do you see what just went down there? Okay, so if you ever need to go back, guys, hit Control Z or Apple Z to undo one step. So that's what happened. I go over here, I make sure that that's selected. I go over to layer mask, click it once, and you see how it just automatically showed only that layer. And you're like, did it go inside of it? No, it's actually laying on top. What I did was use the shape from this layer that we merged to show what to cut out on this layer. So now we have Love is a Fire with Bomb. Everything's looking really good now, guys, okay? Now, the only thing is, I think I need to make the, no, I think that looks pretty good. Actually, no, I'm going to make the fire a little bit darker, guys. And the way you do that is we're going to do the same thing. We're going to rasterize this layer. So click it, make sure it's selected, right click it, and then go up to rasterize layer. Now I can go over to image, adjustments, and curves. We're going to hit that black point, and I'm going to make sure that we're as dark as we can get, I think, with this. I think that's pretty good. I'm going to make it just a little bit, yeah, that's looking a little bit better. It's just a little bit of a boost, guys, but I think that's going to pop a lot more on the shirt, and that's what we want. We want it to pop as much as possible. So what else am I going to add here? Well, I also had downloaded this little heart graphic from the same place, Vector Portal, okay, and I thought that would make a good little graphic. Now, when I opened it up, when you select it, you see how it's selected also this drop shadow? I didn't want that drop shadow. So in Illustrator, if you double click it one more time, it goes even deeper into the graphic. So now, as you can see, I can select just the heart, and that's what I wanted. We're going to copy this by going Control C, go back to Photoshop, and now we're going to drop it in here by hitting Control and V. And when you do that, it's going to ask you to want a smart object. Yes, I do. And now you see it brought in the graphic. We can grab the corners. We can shrink it down. I'm going to maybe put that right too busy now. I don't know if I even need that. Yeah, I'm going to nudge it a little around a little bit. There we go. That's looking good. Okay. So now I got my love is a fire. I got some little hearts in there. Everything's looking cool. And now I'm just like, you know what? I think I want something to frame it, you know? And so I had also found an old graphic that I don't know. I think I made it or possibly taken the picture or got it from one of my grunge packs. But I really liked this frame that I had found. And I just thought it looked really, 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 really cool. So I'm going to bring it in here by going File, go down to Place Embedded. We're going to find that file. There it is right there. And we're going to load it in. And as you see, it brought it in. That's looking pretty good. I'm just going to enlarge it just a little bit so it goes to the edges. It feels like it's a little bit sideways. So we're just going to just nudge just a little bit. That's looking better. Yeah, that's looking better. Okay, so I like that, but I want this bomb to actually kind of pop forward a little bit so there's more of a 3D effect going on here. So what we're going to do is actually move this layer, see where the frame is, this one. You see how it's on top right now? This is how layers work. So whatever's on top is going to lay on top of everything else, as if there was pages of paper laying on top of each other, and each one of these layers is one of those sheets. So I just want to move this sheet down because I want it to go behind all of this stuff. And when I do, you see how that popped up like that? I want to now drag this. Actually, I think I want to put that right there. I think I need to enlarge this whole little area with the fire. So I'm going to turn off the frame layer right now so I can select all this really easily. And then I'm going to select it by clicking the Move tool right here. And then dragging over all the layers. You see the layers that I want are enlarged there. I can even turn on the frame layer now so I can see what I'm going to be enlarging. And then Control T or Apple T if you're on a Mac, and grab the corners. And let's fit this in here just a little bit better. I think I like, that's starting to look kind of cool. Okay, I'm going to nudge it around just a little bit. And I think I'm going to bring that down just a little bit. Yeah, I'm liking that right there, guys. Okay, that's looking pretty cool. I think I just want to make sure that this is dark enough. So let's select that layer. We're going to rasterize it. Go right click on that layer. Rasterize layer. This is for the frame layer, guys. Image, adjustment, and then go over to curves. We're going to click on this black icon again and go to the darkest area. Yeah, there, it just gave it a little bit more pop there, and I think that's going to be pretty good. Let's hit OK. I'm just going to move the frame down just a couple nudges. I think that looks better. I'm going to move one over. I think that looks right on the money. I think this is ready, guys. So here we go. Let's take a look at what we originally started with. Okay. Oh yeah, we got really close. I think we're really close to what we started with. So anyway, this is how you build it, guys. Now you have a new design. You could possibly learn some good stuff here, I think. You're learning about the layers palette as we go through these tutorials. You're learning how the layers interact with each other by placing one on top of the other. You can kind of get this kind of 3D effect. We worked on layer masking so you can actually put a picture inside of another shape. We worked on importing stuff from Illustrator into Photoshop so you can use different elements. And we also learned on a little bit of color correction by using the curves under the image, adjustments, and curves to make things pop a little bit, okay? So I think we have a cool looking design here, guys. Hopefully this was another helpful tutorial. I'm going to keep on doing these design tutorials as well. I think it's just helpful for you guys to know how to kind of just work on something that you know you can print out, because right now I can send this to my sublimation printer, which I actually will probably do actually right now. and start making designs this way. Obviously, this will be for sublimation, not HTV, guys. But anyway, hopefully this helps out, and I will see you in the next video.
All right, guys, so hopefully that helped you out a little bit. Hopefully you learned some new things in Photoshop. Maybe you're feeling a little bit more comfortable now, hopefully with the layers. I do have another tutorial that I did here going over color correction, and I also designed something in that as well. So please, check it out. I'm going to try to do another one of these next week, and then hopefully a week after that. And put comments below the type of stuff you want me to design. Do you want more illustration stuff? Do you want it to be more photographic? You let me know, and we'll design shirts, and that way you can follow along, and hopefully we'll do it. If you do follow along this, I would love to see if you actually made something, your design, go ahead and post it on Instagram or Facebook, and just tag Give Me Signs. And I'll look for it and see if I can add it to it. Also, dump it in the Heat Press Creators group. I'd love to see it in there as well. So anyway, hit the like and subscribe, guys. If you could, it always helps me know what you guys like as far as content. It also helps me grow. And the more I grow, the more videos I make, and hopefully you'll be able to benefit from that. Also, join up at our Heat Press Creators group at Facebook, like I said earlier. And if you want to post the work that you're doing, I'd love to hear from you guys. I'd love to see what you guys are doing, what kind of issues you're running into, and what kind of successes you're running into. It's good to share the successes too, so that way people, get motivated to move forward. So anyway, thank you for tuning in. I will see you in the next video.